Hi, this is attorney Nicole Christie from the Christie Law Firm, where we work with families regarding any type of abuse or neglect as charged by DCF. April 2023 is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so as we come up with this topic every single day in working with our clients and dealing with DCF, I just wanted to share some of my experiences or thoughts about certain types of abuse and if you should ever be charged with that, how to handle it or at least understand it. So I want to deal with the issue of actual physical abuse. So I know it was like growing up as a kid, my mother used physical discipline and she used it with all of us, and it was her way of making sure we stayed, on track, stayed in line and obeyed what she told us to do. And so, over time I used to think about it. I was like, she didn't have to do all of that, but you know what, we turned out okay. Now, that doesn't mean that physical abuse or physical discipline always works or is always the best thing. Here in the state of Connecticut, you are allowed to physically discipline your child, but it has to be, reasonable and depending on the outcome, not something that is actually detrimental to a child. But if you should ever find that you need to physically discipline your children, some of the things that I would just think about and consider is, number one, check your anger level. If you're just really raging at this time, maybe a lot of things was happening at work, or maybe stuff is going on, not related to the child, but then they just did something and it is plucking your last nerve. Make sure you check your anger level before actually physically disciplining your child, because what you don't want to do is go too far, hit them too hard, or do something that is actually detrimental to them. So consider that anger level when dealing with any type of physical discipline. You also want to make sure you're not, just swinging on the child and, not being careful as to where you might hit. Sometimes just the bottom is necessary. Maybe a pop on the hand could be necessary, but really be careful about where you might hit the child or where you may be using physical discipline. And even an implement, if you're trying to use that good old-fashioned switch, be careful that it's not so sharp that it actually cuts the child. And all of that has to be definitely within reason. Also consider the fact that the child's age, after a while, is not really discipline. Sometimes it just feels like assault, or it's just annoying. I remember a cousin of mine, he got spanked so much that it just really didn't do anything for him. He would actually make a decision, he and his sister would make a decision to just break whatever mom's rule was, take the physical discipline and still do whatever they wanted. So you really want to start looking at, is the physical discipline really doing anything for the child, or is it just enforcing, a level of force or intimidation that might not be helpful for them? What is better is probably just looking at natural consequences. People poo-poo timeout. Sometimes kids just need a minute, but there are times when you have to think about, what did they do and what is a natural consequence and real life consequence. For example, if they should skip school, then what should they lose as a result of skipping school? Because if they skipped work, they could lose their job. If they skipped work, they could lose pay. They could lose a promotion. So there should be some natural consequence to that. And again, realizing that over time, as the child gets older, physical discipline really just becomes about force and, dominating another individual versus actually really teaching a child a lesson. So, when you're considering physical discipline, yes, it is legal to some extent. There are some serious parameters around that, so it's better to err on the side of caution and try to find another way. I know in this day and age, just erasing any type of taking away technology, or just one person said, just change the password on the Wi-Fi. Another person said, take the actual plugs from their devices and let the devices die, and now they don't have any access to it. But whatever you need to do to be creative so that they can understand there's consequences to their actions, this is a part of preparing them for adulthood. If we don't say no to our children now, they'll get older, and when they really do have to hear no, it is so difficult for them to deal with it that it makes adulthood hard for them. So we want to give them a level of discipline. We want to set expectations because, like I said, as they get older, they're going to exist anyway. So if you do have any questions, or if you ever had a concern, or if you're ever charged with physical abuse, please don't hesitate to contact our office. We can assist, we can talk with you about it, deal with DCF, and make sure that the family stays intact, and do everything we can to try to resolve the matter as quickly as possible. We do have some other videos here on our YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about just dealing with DCF, understanding how it works, or even if you're a grandparent, how to understand your role, we do have a series of videos uploaded free of charge to you. Our whole point in doing so is to really just be able to educate people so that they can help themselves. Take care.